Hello, everyone. I'm Adam with AEW Maine Treasure Adventures. Today, we are going to take a look at one of the most unique and historically filled hidden gems, not only on MDI, but in the state of Maine. Between 3.5 and 4 million visitors flock to MDI to take in one of America's most beautiful treasures, Acadia National Park. While most people hit all the usual spots like Sand Beach, Thunder Hole, Jordan Pond House, Cadillac Mountain, the whale watch and nature cruises, while taking in the rocky coastline, the history, and the scenic views from just about every nook and cranny of the island. There's a hidden gem that should be on everyone's must see list when visiting. It's the Seal Cove Auto Museum. This collection is one of a kind. It features some of the earliest automobiles and motorcycles, as well as relics of the time, like clothing and products that were used from 1895 through early 1920s. This place is for everyone. Whether you're an antique auto enthusiast, a history buff, or someone who simply loves stories, or wants to see something entirely different, this is an amazing, unique experience that most people don't even know is there. The history of the Seal Cove Auto Museum was established in 1963 by Richard Cushing Payne Jr. He formed the Seal Cove Auto Museum to provide a place to keep and display his extraordinary collection of rare automobiles. Although he donated a few cars to the museum outright, the bulk of the collection on display remained in a personal trust to the time of his death. After Richard's death, a new board was chosen for the museum with a mission to exhibit and preserve the finest collection of brass era automobiles in America in the memory of Richard Payne. They currently have over 60 vehicles and motorcycles on display at the museum. It's quite an experience. You immediately walk back in time once you enter the display room. Now, I'm by no means a car expert, but the information that you learn when going to this museum is amazing. The stories about invention and innovation, art, design, women's rights, social and economic changes that can be traced through the early automobile, when inventors were experimenting with steam, electricity, and gas-powered engines. I left knowing a million times more than I knew before I got there. As we walk around the museum, let's take a closer look at a couple of the vehicles and tell some of the stories behind them. There is no way I can cover all the amazing stories in a 15-minute video. You need to come check this place out and make sure you take the time to read each plaque that is set up by each automobile and display. Take as much time as you need to take in this hidden gem and all of the amazing treasures on display. The first story that we will take a closer look at, and it's one of my favorite stories because it incorporates Bar Harbor history. It's on the three teenage boys that built their own car and was the first automobile driven down Main Street, Bar Harbor. The display features a story of the homemade car built by the Bar Harbor boys, Leslie Brewer, Freddie Richardson, and Willie Dolliver, using some of the parts that are left over from the original automobile. Only a couple of the pieces of the car still exist and are on display at the museum. In November 1908, Dolliver was granted a driver's license and a Maine license plate number 3214 for the vehicle. It was put together from an old carriage seat, a circular saw that was converted into a friction gear, 4 old tires. The body was made from strips of wood and iron, powered by a 4-horsepower boat engine. The other cool part of the story is the boys were listed as the car company that created the vehicle. This was a postcard of the car, and Freddie Richardson wrote on the back, Here is something that Leslie Brewer, Willie Dolliver, and I built. We just finished it about 3 weeks ago. We have had great fun in it. This is the first auto in town, or what is supposed to be one, Fred. It's amazing any part of this car still exists and can still be viewed here at the Seal Cove Auto Museum. I can imagine that Leslie Brewer, Freddie Richardson, and Willie Dolliver never expected that their automobile that they made to have a little fun with would ever have become part of a museum. Another really cool story that I really like is one of just a couple of cars at the museum are outside of the brass era. The 1941 Pontiac Woody. It was purchased by the original owner in Pennsylvania. He gave it to his daughter, and she brought it to the island, where it spent most of its life here on MDI. First in Northeast Harbor, now in Seal Cove at the museum. The Woody came with a bunch of the original paperwork, like the registrations from the daughter of the original first owner in 1945, a number of other years of registration paperwork, and it also has the original maintenance guide. It only has 69,000 miles on it, thanks to the granddaughter of the original owner, Florence Borda. It's now here on display for everyone to see. Oftentimes, if you're out on the backside of the island, you may see it on the road, as the museum will use it for mail runs to the post office, 4th of July parades, and other events around the island. This next story that we will take a closer look at is the only known surviving Skean, and it's right here. It's model number 1. The Skean was an American automobile manufactured from 1900 to 1901, owned by James W. Skean. The Skean was a twin-cylinder, 5-horsepower steam car. It was built in Lewiston, Maine. J.W. Skean Cycle Company of Lewiston finished its first steam carriage in 1900. R.H.B. Warburton of Springfield, Massachusetts, helped Skean organize with a capital stock of $500,000. The Skean American Automobile Company. The company headquarters were in Springfield, Massachusetts. The factory remained in Lewiston, Maine. All parts of the Skean were built in the Lewiston plant, a fact in which the Skean Company took pride. The price of a Model 1 Skean steam Stanhope was $750 in 1900, equivalent to $27,468 in 2023. After the company went under in 1901, James Skean remained in the automobile business in the state of Maine. This Skean was originally owned by an American soldier who came to Europe in 1917 to fight in the First World War and was killed. The car was then locked up in a barn in Redfield, Maine. It was there for 53 years until 1973, when Leslie Maynard Layton, a noted Maine steam car collector, was able to purchase it for an English friend who arranged for the Skean to go to a Mr. Reg Parsons in England for restoration. Mr. Parsons subsequently purchased the car and eventually sold it to a Mr. Hugh Mothersall. Under both Mr. Parsons and Mr. Mothersall, the car participated in several British steam car meets, including London to Brighton runs, the longest running motoring event in the world. The Skean was then acquired by the Richard C. Payne Jr. Automobile Charitable Trust in 2010. The museum is open from May 1st till October 31st, between the hours of 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. November 1st until April 30th, they are open by appointment only. So just because you're here during the off-season doesn't mean you missed out. You can call ahead to schedule a time to come in. Emission rates for 2024 for military, senior, first responders, and veterans $8. Adult emission $10. And youth under 18 is free. There really isn't anything on the island you can go to and see this much history for such a small fee. School tours and customized tours are available. I 100% recommend that all schools around the area should really think about adding this amazing place into your yearly to-do list. Take the students there for a field trip once a year. Every time you go, you learn something new that you didn't see before. Show and teach them about the history of the island, like the story of Willie Dolliver, Leslie Brewer, and Freddie Richardson making their own car and driving it down Main Street. Teach about the history of the auto industry, the art of advertising, and how women's voting rights were fought for and won. Also, as a side note for schools that will start planning a trip to Seal Cove Auto Museum and looking for a way to get your students excited about their experience. Before visiting, I would recommend educators to take part in a history building activity with their students by reading the book Around America to Win the Vote by Mara Rawcliffe. This was set in 1916 and follows Nell Richardson and Alice Burke along their cross-country road trip in a little yellow car, campaigning for women's rights. Seal Cove Auto Museum incorporates stories from the women's suffrage movement into the exhibits and features a replica of the little yellow Saxon driven by the two women in Around America to Win the Vote. The Seal Cove Auto Museum tries to change over exhibits every couple of years. Vehicles change every now and again, so there are always new stories being told that delight and engage visitors of all ages and interests. The goal is to highlight the important role of the automobile in the larger story of America at the turn of the last century. Some of the different exhibits that they have highlighted are Motoring into the 20th Century, Auto Wars, Then and Now, Art and Advertising, Women's Suffrage Movement. The museum has a really beautiful area outside to have a picnic and check out the scenic views. They even have a spot to charge electric cars up. They have a gift shop that has really reasonable price items. I fell in love with the different toy gas pumps and all the awesome history books, not only on the cars, but the history of the island. Also, inside they do have restrooms. The staff will try to do everything they can to answer questions that you might have about anything on display. They are always friendly and super helpful. The gift shop has something for everyone. A lot of cool things like car models, model gas pumps, toy cars, clothing, metal signs, all kinds of trinkets, and tons of books. Go check this awesome piece of treasure out and tell them that AEW Maine Treasure Adventures sent you. Until the next adventure, AEW out.